Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Clueless Capitalist, where we discover interesting startups, interview founders, and help you become less clueless with angel investing. My name is Razi.
And my name's Osman, and welcome to the Clueless Capitalists.
In this episode, we're going to be speaking to our first ever startup from Sri Lanka, Simplebooks. Simplebooks is empowering corporate secretaries, save time and money. Till date, they have helped more than 4,500 business registrations. Joining us is the CEO and co-founder of Simplebooks, Aabith. Welcome to the episode, Aabith.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this episode. Hi everyone, I'm Aabith Sabeer, co-founder of Simplebooks.
So we just met Aabith in Singapore recently. He was here for the South Exchange with Google and a few other partners like N Ventures. So we heard him pitch a 2-minute pitch, and when we heard it, we were super excited, and we think his startup has a lot of potential. Before we go into more questions, maybe Aabith, you can run us through your pitch deck.
Sure. So we are digitizing company registration and compliance for startups and company secretaries. Since our launch, we have registered to 4,500 plus companies in Sri Lanka. So today we are the market leaders in the company registration sector. On average, we do over 100 new registrations every single month. So before the launch of Simplebooks, startups would spend weeks to get their company registered. So to tackle this challenge, we digitized the entire registration process, and we were able to trim down the process from weeks to days. And then we went ahead and added invoicing, accounting, payroll tool to our platform to make it a one-stop comprehensive solution for founders. So as we progressed, we realized that company secretaries like ourselves spent a significant amount of time on manual tasks like document preparation, filing, client communication. So not only that, the error rates because of the manual processes can go up to 20%, and it can lead to dissatisfied client. And not only that, it significantly limits the amount of work that company secretaries can undertake. So in terms of market size, our initial target market is India, and then we will be moving towards the Singaporean region. So if you take India houses toward 2 million plus active companies, and Singapore houses to 500,000 plus active companies, and each and every company needs a company secretary. Unfortunately, over 95% of company secretaries still rely traditional manual methods, and the global secretarial market size is over $1 billion, and in Southeast Asia, it's over $300 million. So how are we going to solve this is we are going to license out our platform mainly to company secretaries. So you can think our platform as something similar to Shopify for company secretaries, where we will be providing a client portal for founders and a CRM for secretaries. So client portal for founders will cut down back and forth communication with company secretaries, and it can give real-time updates to founders. And the CRM for secretaries will help them to auto-generate documents and file documents with company register. So our initial calculation says that we can save over $5,000 and 500 hours per secretary annually. And not only that, we can help them to double down their revenue. So we don't want to limit our platform just as a company secretary tool. So as we progress, we'll be adding invoicing, payroll, accounting tool to this platform, and thereby enabling company secretaries to cross-sell these products to their clientele and boost their revenue as well. And mainly, we believe the secretaries are the influencers to founders. So if we analyze the competitive market, in markets like Singapore, there are a few players who are doing this. So there are players like CS360, Officio, but unfortunately, they are limited to a backend CRM. So how we are different is we do provide a client portal for founder, and our solution will be a one-stop solution where founders can do bookkeeping, we can do payroll, invoicing, accounting. And not only that, in markets like India, we'll have the first mover advantage. And we have been in this industry for over 7 years. So we have registered to 4,500 plus companies. So we understand the company secretary's perspective and a founder's perspective better. And to regionally expand ourselves, we have formed strategic partnership with M2K advisors to capitalize on their domain strength and the manpower of over 100 plus professionals in India. So in terms of revenue model, we do have a clear, simple revenue model where we'll be charging a subscription fee from company secretary, and we'll be making additional revenue by cross-selling our other products like invoicing, payroll, accounting tool to founders. So at Simplebooks, we have a diversified team of over 40 plus professionals. So I'm myself a chartered accountant, close to a decade of experience in this field. And my co-founder, Bhanuka Chandra, was awarded Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia. And he brings invaluable expertise in technology and automation. So we are looking to raise $350,000 to accelerate our vision. So mainly the funding will be utilized for product development, marketing outreach, and team expansion. So we do have a clear roadmap for the future. So as of 2023, we were able to record 42% of growth in revenue by completing most of our milestones. So we are projecting ourselves to grow by 4 times in next couple of years by launching our platform in India and Singapore. And we are backed by Ventures. So with your funding, we promise to simplify the life of the founder and company secretaries globally. Thank you so much.
With regards to Simplebooks as well, right? The general question that I have normally is just really how you've gone about building the company to get to where it is right now. So typical things that I'd be interested to know are, your acquisition cost and your lifetime value for each of these clients that you've brought in so far, and what's the general trend?
Yeah, so in Sri Lanka, we do have a strong brand presence. So for example, we have the Sri Lanka's biggest YouTube channel in entrepreneurship category. We have over 400,000 plus subscribers, and on average, we click over 1 million views every single month. And we do have very strong SEO presence. So we do generate over 20,000 plus blog views every single month. So we do have very strong organic outreach. So in terms of cost of customer acquisition in Sri Lanka for us is around like $25. And in terms of lifetime value, we generate over $150 per client. That's mainly because we built very strong. So we generate over 500 plus leads in Sri Lanka every single month. And on any given day, we have over 20 plus leads here. So we do run ads on Google Ads as well, and then through social media as well. But our strong, we didn't have a very big necessity to run paid campaigns since we do have a very strong organic presence here.
Great. And your current revenue at the moment, you mentioned it's $20 per corporate secretary per year. Is that correct?
Yeah, so right now we did it for ourselves as a testbed market in Sri Lanka. So we were catering directly to the founders. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to help other secretaries out. So in terms of helping other secretaries out, we will be charging $20 per company from company secretaries per year. So as we believe that average company secretary has around 50 odd clients. So on average, we would be generating 15 to 20, which will be like $1,000 per secretary will be our ticket size in terms of the subscription revenue. And then on top of that, we will be cross-selling our other products like invoicing, payroll. So we believe at least if we can get a 5% penetration on that, we will significantly improve our customer lifetime value.
Okay, so what you're saying is that for each corporate secretary, if they're managing 50 companies, you would charge $20 per company per corporate secretary. So
Yes.
yeah, that's around $1,000 a year, company secretary. And then what's in it for the company secretary to promote, let's say, payroll or anything like any of the other modules that you sell? Do they get a commission, or is that how it works?
Yeah, so we will be providing a referral commission. So we are looking at somewhere between 30 to 35% of a referral commission to company secretaries, because we won't have a cost of customer acquisition on that particular end, because they will be opening up their network to us. So then they will be highly incentivized to cross-sell this. And what we are looking is a bit of a numbers game, since every company secretary will have around 50 odd clients, and it will open up a big revenue for us. And the secretaries will be incentivized to promote it to their clientele, unlike like QuickBooks or Xero or Zoho, because they are incentivized.
Yeah, got it. Okay. And how do you compare to the likes of the tools of, like in Singapore, my company, I use Xero and I use Talanox for payroll. How do you compare at the moment to those tools?
Yeah, so at this point, we won't be very competitive in that space. So what our thesis is, like, we make sure that the tool does the basic, fulfill the basic requirements of the founder. And what we believe is the company secretaries will do the job for us as far as it can get the job done. Because at the end of the day, founders ask company secretaries like, what tools to use, and they want to get the job done at the end of the day. They want to file their tax returns, they wanted to complete books. So what we believe is, say, we are not going to compete the existing space. We are going to, the target market will be the new companies that are getting registered, not the existing ones. So we are not going to take the share of the existing Zero, whatever those tools. What we are trying to do is we are trying to acquire the new companies that are getting registered so that they don't go ahead and compare those with previous tools.
Okay. You talked about your growth strategy and you mentioned Singapore and you mentioned India. I believe that when we were talking earlier on at the South Exchange, your main priority was India.
Exactly.
Is that correct, or
Exactly.
are you looking at Singapore?
So our main priority will be India. So our first milestone will be we want to nail down the India and then look at the depth. Say, try to acquire customers in it. It's a massive market, as I said, 2 million plus companies, and 95% of companies still do it traditionally. And so it's a bit of an untapped market. So we wanted to go hard on the Indian market, and then once we complete that milestone, so that is we will go. Initially, we'll launch our Secretarial platform and then work towards cross-selling other tools. So look at trying to, like, what we'll be focusing is trying to get the depth as well. And then once we hit that particular milestone, then only we will be launching our platform in the Singapore, because in Singapore it's almost not that difficult given the APIs are all available. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the cost of developing the platform to India is very for Singapore is very minimal, given that all the APIs and everything is available in Singapore.
Is there a risk that someone like Books is already doing like bookkeeping will say, hey, look, maybe we should also come create this additional revenue stream by launching something similar? Or is
so if you take Book caters for a complete different segment. So Book caters for a micro SMEs, small pop and thumb shops. So, and then they are mainly into digitizing the ER book for small mom and pop shops. So what our target market is mainly the company secretaries. So we are targeting companies, say mainly SMEs, not micro SMEs. So that's our target market. And so those are two different target markets that we are looking at. So I believe the Book wants to get into digital lending space and then payment wallets and credit scoring. So they will be catering, I would say, tier 2 and tier 3 types of businesses, where we'll be focusing mainly on the startup space.
Got it. And in Sri Lanka, right, how many company secretaries are there, and what percentage of them are already your clients?
In Sri Lanka, we didn't launch the company secretary tool mainly because the market size is not lucrative enough. So in terms of Sri Lanka, in terms of volume plus from a ticket size, it's pretty small market. So in Sri Lanka, we register, in Sri Lanka, there are 6,500 companies that are getting registered every single year. And then we capture over 20% of the market share in terms of registration. And then if we evaluate the rest 80%, there are only pretty small size number of secretaries. So for us to build a platform in Sri Lanka, the financial effort, the math doesn't make sense for us to build the platform in Sri Lanka.
Got it. Okay. And how much is this is not really important to the discussion, but then I'm just curious to know, right, in terms of how much do company secretaries charge per year in Sri Lanka? Because in Singapore it ranges, depending on who you go with and what services you take, it's generally between $300 to about $1,000. How much is it there?
So in Sri Lanka, again, like Singapore, there are different tiers. So on average, if we see secretaries charge, fees starts from $50 to can go up to $300 given, depending on the value proposition. So if you go with a top-notch lawyer, then it can go around $350 to $400. And on average, the ticket size is around $80 to $100. And then on the low end, we can see even $20 to $30 as well.
So in a way, does that mean that you like all the numbers that you shared earlier, those just projections, or are you already, because you just mentioned that you're not really pushing Simplebooks in Sri Lanka because it doesn't make financial sense, right? So all the traction that you've shown, this is for your existing corporate secretarial services business?
Exactly. So what we have done is we are the plan for ourselves. So we tested it here and we were able to become the market leaders in the local market by registering over 4,500 plus companies. So we do have a 4.9 average review, or we have over 650 reviews we have in Google. So we tested it in here for ourselves, and we were able to build this particular platform, CRM for secretary and a front-end client portal. So we did it mainly it came in the local region where we catered to founders. And then there were a lot of secretaries who asked that whether they would be able to use our platform for themselves. But as I said, in Sri Lankan market, the math didn't make sense for us to license out our platform to secretaries here.
Okay, I mean, and then what's the plan in terms of expanding into India? How are you going to start? What kind of numbers are you projecting once, say, first quarter in India or the first year in India? What kind of numbers are we looking at?
Yeah, so in terms of, we are starting to launch our platform in Chennai first. So that's our first, because our regional partner is based there. So that's our main market that we're trying to get into. So at the end of the first year, we are trying to at least achieve 360 odd secretaries, and then to serve around 30,000 plus companies in India. So that's our initial milestones that we have for ourselves. So in terms of revenue, we are looking to generate, in the first year, we are looking to generate around $100,000. So that's our first target for the Indian market in the first year, to get the product right and get everything right, and then scale it on from there onwards.
Yeah, with regards to the revenue projections and that you're looking to get from India, normally what most people are asking is, well, what's your plan for your first $1 million and $10 million? How are you going to jump from those revenue milestones?
Yeah, so as soon as we hit the product market fit, then it's all about scaling the business. So India, given that there is a massive potential for growth, given the number of companies that are over there in India. So what we are looking is from $100,000 to $600,000 to $700,000 won't be very difficult. The first $100,000 is going to be the critical milestone that we want to achieve. And once we get that traction in, once we achieve that milestone, it will be much easier to penetrate the rest of the space. So we wanted to make sure that we get everything right, get the tools right, get the channels right, and get the messaging, everything right in the Indian market. So that's the whole idea behind going it to ensuring that we get to the product market fit and then scale really fast in the Indian region.
Okay. And fundraising round that you're looking at the moment, it's $350,000, correct?
Yes.
Right.
In total.
And that's to help you expand into India.
Exactly. So into India, and then we can enter into the Singaporean region as well, but then we'll be evaluating based on the opportunities where we have in the Indian market.
Yeah.
So we wanted to focus on the India, and then if we see, since the development tools are not, development cost to the Singapore market is not that significant.
Yeah.
And given that the market is validated in the Singapore region for this particular tool, so we thought of entering the Singapore market as well, but it all depends on how we see ourselves in the Indian market. If we have more penetration to achieve, then definitely we will be focusing solely on the Indian market.
Okay, got it. And we'll look at how you're looking to allocate that funding. The reason why I asked specifically was, for me anyway, it looks like not a lot of money to go after a very big market. So my question really is, how have you come to $350,000 as the fundraising amount that you need?
So I'll be happy to share you the projections and have a chat on that and get your feedback on that as well. So we have mainly allocated our fund mainly in terms of, say, majority of fund will be around $200,000 will be allocated on the Indian region. So the rest of the funds is where we are going to allocate to the Singapore, but in Singapore mainly it will be marketing side of things, where it's very expensive in terms of the client acquisition cost in Singapore is very expensive. It's we did bit of analysis, it's 3 times higher in Singapore comparing to the Indian region. So for example, attending a conference in India is not a significant amount of money, but attending a conference assume that we get into a Singapore FinTech Festival or whatever, we need around 10,000 SGD to put a booth there. So it's a significant investment when it comes to Singapore.
Okay, so your actual cost of operation is so much lower in India both in terms of customer acquisition and market penetration cost, it's significantly lower.
Exactly, given that the sales resource and the labor is cheap, and then given that marketing expenses in terms of even running a Google ad, it's for example, in Singapore it's cost us like $7 per click, and in India it's around like $1. Significant reduction in terms of India in terms of the cost. So again, in Singapore, the price points are pretty higher because the secretaries do get, as Razi said, around $300. But in India, it's not $300. It's around like $150 to $200 is what the Indian secretary would earn from a client.
Wow.
Aabith, I just checked, right? The cost per click for the keyword corporate secretarial services in Singapore is $28.43.
Yeah, it depends on the keyword that you select. Like there are different iterations that you can find. So it's very expensive. Like if you compare with in India, it's pretty less. You can just type in India and you would see it's pretty low on the very low end.
So what happens is when you run a search engine marketing campaign, right? So you'll be advertising for certain keywords. So let's say I'm a corporate secretary, I'm a company secretary, and I want more clients. So my target audience will be searching for company secretary Singapore. So when someone searches for that, my ad will be there, my text ad will be there, my search ad will be there. And if that person clicks on it, that is going to cost me $24. So imagine if I put my budget as $240 for the day, I only get 10 clicks. So when someone clicks on my ad and they go to the page, whether or not they fill out the form and become a customer, it's probably going to be, it's less than 10%, it's maybe 3%. Right? So I can get 10 clicks, maybe 3 people might fill up the form and 1 might become a client, right? So the idea here is that 10 clicks, I spend $240, I acquired a client where I made $600. So it is very expensive. Like what Aabith is saying, if you find the same keyword in India, maybe it's going to cost you 50 rupees, 100 rupees, which is like $2.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and not only that, to convert a client, you need at least 30 clicks. So with a single click, it's very difficult to convert. So assume that 30 people, average conversion rates are around 3%. So usually you need 30 people to click that particular thing, and then you will find one becoming your customer. So in terms of customer acquisition cost, Singapore is on a very high end. But again, given that the price points are high in Singapore, so then sometimes the unit economics makes sense, given that in the long run you establish a proper funnel and optimize it. So in a market like India, you can you can spend for those 30 clicks because it's much cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. And with this $350,000 that you're raising, the minimum ticket size is how much?
So we are the minimum ticket size we are looking at $50,000 from.
50,000.
Yeah. So that's what we are looking at.
And what type of investor are you looking for? Are you looking for people familiar with this space, or just people who are savvy investors, familiar with angel investing? Is there any kind of profile that you're looking for?
So we are okay with angel investors and then VCs, early stage VCs. So that's what we are looking at, because even though we are a tested market model in Sri Lanka, we are trying to get into India as a fairly new model. So we want early stage VCs or angel investors so that they also have same expectations like we do.
Okay, got it.
What's the valuation right now?
So right now we raised $80,000 at 1 million cap valuations, but we are looking at 2.5 mil valuation for this particular round.
And actually, how would the exit look like? Like, are you looking for acquisition, or who can potentially acquire you if that's the case? And what would a potential exit look like for an angel who were to come in on this round?
Yeah, so the exit is, there are a lot of opportunities. Like you see, we are trying to play on a niche field a bit. So once we hit the traction and we get good numbers behind us, then the big companies like even the Zoho, QuickBooks, or even the businesses that are into lending, because they have the entire data in our platform. So it's a pretty one-stop comprehensive solution where you have all the numbers in the platform. So payment side automation companies, lending companies, and then even QuickBooks, Zoho, those sort of big companies can acquire you. So that's one way that we are looking at our exit.
Yeah.
Given that we capture the startups and we do have the data in our platform for, to lend credit, do credit scoring, and get into those space. Even the payment gateway wallets as well.
How many company secretaries were there in India? Again, you mentioned.
So India, there is no clear company secretary count. That particular data is not available. But the proxy for this is, say, there are 2 million plus active companies, and in India, you need a secretary to get your company registered.
Yeah.
So the number is not really visible, but on average, if we see there are over 10,000 plus, there will be over 30,000 plus company secretaries in India.
Yeah. So you'll go to India first, and then maybe there's no clear timeline on when you'll come to Singapore, right? So it's not.
So this is where we wanted to evaluate how far we can penetrate the Indian market. So if there's opportunity, always, as I said, it's easier to penetrate in India given the background that we have. We also coming from South Asia region, and my partner is also based in India. So Singapore, the only what we see is the price points are high, and then it's easy to build the tool. So this is where we wanted to evaluate once we complete our milestone in India, whether we want to go to Indonesia or Singapore. So right now, the Singapore is in our mind, but we believe India is so big so that we can play around in the Indian region. So that's our main thought process behind it. So we will be evaluating the Singapore market because we see, as I said, there are a couple of players in Singapore as well. We wanted to see how far they can penetrate. And in Singapore, there's a good thing where the company register gives a grant to founders who wanted to use these digital tools. Say they give grant for these company secretaries where the company register in Singapore reimburses the 70% of cost. So currently the existing players have got that grant. So again, we will have to get that grant to get into the Singapore region. Otherwise, we won't be price competitive as well.
Why not Bangladesh? I mean, you've mentioned India and being in South Asia. Why not Bangladesh?
So we do have our presence in Bangladesh in terms of service side. We do registration in Bangladesh as well. We do have a partner there. Bangladesh is a very difficult market in terms of getting company registered. It's all very manual, and the chances of automations are pretty less. And then Bangladeshis don't register companies. They register sole proprietorship, or they don't register business at all. So only people who are registering companies in Bangladesh are foreigners or who are trying to raise funds. So in terms of the market size, in terms of company registration, it's very much similar to Sri Lanka. And then again, you see a price point, or it's very, again, fairly less this thing. At this point, we don't see that there is opportunity in Bangladesh, but down the line, maybe, given that Bangladesh is also digitizing, there will be more opportunities turning up. The good thing about our platform is if you see all the Commonwealth countries, the process is very much same, because all these countries were under British rule, and then the laws were copied from British. So almost if you see the registration process is very much similar across all these countries. The documents are very similar, only the names are different and the government portals are different. So once we build a platform for one country, even getting into markets like Pakistan or Indonesia, it's not going to be, the development cost is not going to be very significant. It's just that we'll have to figure out the customer acquisition strategies in those regions.
Yeah, okay. And Simplebooks is registered in Singapore, right?
Yes, we are headquartered in Singapore. So that's where we raised our first round. So we are incorporated in Singapore.
And what's the strategy of expanding in India? Earlier you mentioned very briefly that you have a YouTube channel that's got 400 over 1,000 subscribers. You get 1 million views every single month. So are you going to be creating like a similar YouTube channel where you localize all of your existing content in the local languages in India, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so in India also we are trying to adopt a similar sort of a strategy, and then mainly in terms of acquiring company secretaries, we'll be attending conferences. So there are conferences for company secretaries, chartered accountants. So we'll be utilizing that particular approach as well, because in the company secretary conference, we will find every secretary there. So it's much easier to acquire company secretaries through that. So we will be, what we do here, we will be adding the offline methods as well, then reaching out secretaries through our partner networks. So that will be the main primary channel, and then we will be slowly building our YouTube and SEO strategies. As you know, those are built over years. Those doesn't happen. I mean, like organic stuff,
Yes.
it doesn't happen in a single
Yeah.
day. And once you build it, you can dominate the market. I mean, it's very, very difficult for someone to break it. It's a years of effort. And then in Sri Lanka, our competitors find it very difficult to break us, mainly because like once you build it, you do have the brand, but it takes years to build that particular resources in place and to become competitive in that place. So we'll be using the YouTube and the SEO as a long-term strategy for our acquisition channels.
In terms of, we've gone through the minimum ticket size that you need to get on here and the total fundraising amount. How much have you raised so far to date?
So we have raised $80,000.
Right, so it's 8,000 out of the 350 that
Yes.
yeah, okay. And when are you looking to close this round?
So right now we have runaways for around 6 to 12 months. Given that we are locally profitable, we are pumping the profit to the listing as well.
Mhm.
So we have, say, for 6 months. I mean, like ideally we would like to close the round probably by next year, April. So that's what we are looking at. But we do have runaways to drag a bit. But quicker we get the fund, the quicker we can penetrate the market as well. So that's the whole thought process behind it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that you didn't share with us, Aabith, was a little bit about yourself and how you got started. Because when I look at your LinkedIn, you have been an auditor, you've been a company secretary, you're a chartered accountant. Tell us a little bit more about that background.
Okay. So I was one of the youngest chartered accountant in Sri Lanka. So I was one of the third youngest in Sri Lanka as a chartered accountant. So how I started was, so this was my second business. The first business I did, I was in University of Colombo. So I got graduated from University of Colombo, specialized in finance. So at that time I wanted to make some money. So I ran a bit of a trading business where I used to buy stuff from the local market and then I used to resell it. So this is where I got into digital marketing space first. And then so this was 8-9 years back. So I saw there is a lot of potential in the digital marketing space where you can, I mean, like you could, because if you see in Sri Lanka, most of the secretarial space is dominated by lawyers who are into 40s and 50s. So they don't have any sort of awareness in this space. So what I did was I met my co-founder, who was Banu Valchandra, and he was in digital marketing space. So then we did a bit of a research and we figured out that there were around like 1,000 people searching company registration in Google. Say they were looking for information in the Google, but unfortunately there were no blogs or no sort of, there wasn't any sort of resources in Google, like where founders could learn how they can get their company registered or like what will be the taxes applicable. So then we saw opportunity and we started to write blogs. So that's how we got into this space. And then the people who read the blog, they trusted us more. So then they started to inquire whether can you help us to get the company registered. So then we got into, I mean, like we found a lot of success in terms of blogs. We kept on writing several pieces of content related to this field. And then we thought, okay, why not add videos? The text format is working, and that's how we started the YouTube channel. So then again, it got picked up. So that's all about me. So I'm myself a chartered accountant. I do have a CPA. So I have CPA Australia, I have AAT, so I have few qualifications in this field, around 6. So, but right now I'm very fond of technology side and the digital marketing side, and I believe I can revolutionize this industry. And I think, I don't know why no one is doing it a lot, but I think there's a lot of potential. I think there is a lot of potential to revolutionize this space in terms of secretarial side and not only that, the tax side. So there's a lot of space in this industry, to be frank.
And I remember looking in your deck earlier, you shared that your co-founder, he has exited the company, something got acquired. What was acquired?
So my co-founder, he partially exited the company. So he ran a digital marketing agency. So they do digital marketing services for companies in US, UK. So he's mainly into the digital marketing space and technology. So that's what that's his core strength.
And that's an important core strength to have, right? I mean, what you're building and what you're going to grow requires someone with that kind of knowledge to really elevate and skyrocket his growth. And I think if you have someone on the team who's your co-founder who can do this, I think there's a lot of potential, because a lot of companies that they spend money on digital marketing, but if they don't have someone, the right person to stir the ship, they waste a lot of money. So I think it's good that you have that. One other question, when I go to your LinkedIn, you have a few other things that you're involved in. You're like the founder of something called Shopbook. So how would this business fit into Simplebooks, or are these two different entities?
Okay, so Shopbook is a pet product of Simplebooks. It's a product that we started with the hobby product that we started. So it's very much similar to Kata Book that you find in India. That's why I know Kata Book space really well. So what we did was, my dad runs a shop in the local bazaar market. So he maintains his CR book. So I wanted to help my dad out, and then I couldn't find apps in Sri Lanka that can digitize the CR book. So as a pet project, we started to digitize the traditional CR book, where we launched a digital ledger where they can do record transactions. Like we have a cash book, we have a stock book, we have a customer day book, the supplier day book. So we haven't marketed at all, but there is a very significant traction for this. We were able to get 20,000 plus downloads until now without running a single ad in Sri Lanka. And then we do have 1,000 monthly active users. So we are doing it, we are not spending a lot of resources. We are doing it very slow because at this point we see there is, in Sri Lanka there are 2 million odd micro SMEs. So in Sri Lanka there is a massive potential, but what we see is it's very difficult to get into the global region with this product. There is a possibility, but then if you are going to get into India, we can't fight with Kata Book given the funding that they have. And in Bangladesh there is Tally Kata, and in Pakistan there is Udar PK, in Indonesia there is Buka. So there, this space, there are local players. Again, there is opportunity as well. It's not that there is no opportunity, but we see it's a local product. So we did this as a product, and we leverage our YouTube channel just to put few banners, and that's how we get downloads.
Understood. And you're saying this is within the Simplebooks ecosystem?
Yes, this is within the Simplebook ecosystem because we help startups here. So we want to build the user base, and down the line we want to monetize it. So our plan for that is so now we do have the stock book and everything. Now we are launching our web version in another couple of months. So then we will be adding a payment wallet into it, and then we wanted to get that data in and get into partner with digital lending entities here and get into that space as well. So that's the product that we have for Shopbook, but which is under Simplebooks. The only reason that I didn't mainly pitch it here was I see that as a local presence. Again, there is a market size, but it's not a product that we can get into global. We can get into global, but it will take a very big amount of funding. So we wanted to run that particular model slow and then capture the local customers and then get into. We haven't monetized it as of yet, so we wanted to figure out the monetization on that end as well.
If you're curious to understand how syndication works and you're looking to learn, then you can always join our club at the Clueless Capitalists and make a comment on the YouTube channel just to try and find out more about what we're doing separately, and then we can have you join and we can start to share a little bit more about what we're doing, and hopefully what we can do is we can syndicate, because the problem that most angel investors have that we see is that they're very interested and they have loads of pent up capital, but $50,000 as a one-time ticket is actually quite high. It's quite a lot of money for one person to put in. Typically they might have that amount of capital, but they want to put smaller tickets into many different companies. So this is where syndication would typically come in, where you know people like myself and Razi would run a syndicate where people can put in 5k or 10k, and that quickly adds up to the 50k entry point that we need to get onto the cap table. The benefit there is that people can put in smaller tickets. The benefit for the founder in this case is that they only have one investor on their cap table, and that means it's a very clean deployment in terms of who's invested. So that everybody wins in this particular case, but it does take a lot of effort both for a syndicate lead to kind of bring in those types of people who are familiar with the risks of angel investing, but also helping to mitigate that risk by reducing the individual ticket size and exposure. And yeah, we're more than happy to kind of talk people through how that works, and we'll probably do a separate session as well on that. And a lot of people that we know are going through a program with Jed on the venture fundamentals, which gives an indication as to how that works. So if you haven't done that already, we'd also suggest that you do go have a look for the venture fundamentals course that Jed is running, and you should try and learn through that. And then if you're still interested, then we can walk you through the processes that we take to do a syndicate, and that would be that. So if you are liking, commenting and subscribing on the YouTube channel and you're interested to know more, just put that as a comment as well. We want to know more, and we can subscribe you to the Clueless Capitalist Club, where you can get exclusive insights into how to go about fundraising and participating.
All right. So thank you for joining us for this episode, Aabith. Thank you for sharing about Simplebooks, how you've gone growing it in Sri Lanka, and how you're ready to take on the Indian market and hopefully come into Singapore in the near future. Thank you for sharing, and we look forward to seeing your success in the coming few months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Razi and Osman, for giving me this opportunity. And as you said, I was the first Sri Lankan startup to present in your channel, and I feel very proud about it. And hopefully we'll have a next interview when we are a unicorn.
Yeah, that's right. We really do have those types of ambitions for you, I think. When we saw your pitch deck, it really stood out, and when you gave the pitch as well, it really did stand out compared to the others that we were talking to.
Thanks a lot.
All right.